Welcome back, Let's Players. That Gamer Mexican here with the 6th installment of Let's Play Fire Emblem Reckono Ken, or, you know, it's just Fire Emblem in America, so you guys probably don't know what it's called. This episode is a kind of short one, I find, compared to all the other ones, which are about 15 minutes. So I'm glad that means no editing and no cutting out parts so you get really confused. Anyway, this has been a really, really long day for me, I guess. And a couple days ago was pretty long too, and I'm still kind of tired from it, so... yeah, I guess that's about it. That's my life story. I get tired really easily. Anyways, Zane's kind of needs to shut up again, but... anyway, Lynn agrees with him, so it's cool with me too. And of course, we can't go 20 feet without having to fight again, and again, and again. So here come more bandits to, you know, die really, really quickly and easily. Why do they do that anyways? They know they're screwed. They just, you know, have to be dickheads and try to kill me a lot. Anyways, here comes our Mouthy Cleric and quite useful mage. And a pretty funny scene happens. I'm thinking about starting some sort of, you know, counter for that too, but I think it's much more fun to just laugh at what they say. She makes a lot of other appearances that are really noisy, and even in her support conversations, she's really, really, really noisy, but she has really slow support, so I'm pretty sure the only person I'll put her with is Matthew, because, I mean, he doesn't do much fighting, and the only fighting he'd possibly do for me would be to guard her, make sure she doesn't die. As a bishop, she's kind of useful, but, I mean, Lucius is way more useful, and you get him about the same time, I think it's the next level, but... anyway, so here she comes, kind of just picking fights, even though she doesn't hold a weapon. And Urk finally shows us that he's kind of useful too, because magic is one of the strongest forms of attack I find in the game. Mages in general have a really high, deal really high damage to their fighters, and I find my mages have enough magic ability to deal a lot of damage to even their enemy mages. So this is kind of where it talks about recruiting NPCs. I kind of go through it really quickly so I don't run out of time, but in general it's the same as if you're recruiting an enemy, except they don't try to kill you at the same time, which is really nice. I don't like being attacked while I'm trying to talk some guy into fighting for me. It's also sort of the debut of where you get the healing staff, which is one of the most useful items in the game. But, you know, the people who use it are some of the weakest. Because they can't fight at all, and they generally have a really low defense and skill, but they have a high-ish speed and resistance. So, if you're gonna put them with anyone, you can put them with someone who you think will be fighting a lot of magic users. Maybe another mage, or another good magic killer would be Lynn later on, or any Pegasus Knight. So here's sort of the healing staff in action. It's not the best, but it works. If I remember correctly, how much healing, how much HP it heals is the user's magic plus 10 for the heal staff. The Manda staff is the user's magic plus 20, so that's always really good to use, even if you have, like, 1 or no magic. And then it just goes on and on and on. Even though it's better to give your stabs to someone who has a lot of magic too, like a sage maybe, or a druid. Now also, I'm kind of checking everyone's weapons because Kent's sword is gonna break anytime now. It's kind of down the crapper. But I think in this map a bandit has a sword. Not so he can actually use it, but so that I can kill him and take it from him. They're so nice thinking of me, giving me weapons for me to stab them with. Also, though, Florina's lance is kind of breaking, so I'll have to send someone to the armory. Unfortunately, in this one, it doesn't have any melee weapons. It's got bows, and it's got indirect combat weapons like javelins and hand axes, so she'll have to just be happy with a hand axe. I mean, a javelin. Florina can't use a hand axe. She's too stupid. Dorcas would find it, would have it in handy, I guess, but I mean, she's already got one, and it's got a lot of ability points to it, so there's no point. You'll find that training Florina, she'll be one of his strongest units, actually, even though, if you're lucky, she's going to be one of your strongest units by far. If you're not lucky, she'll be sort of average-ish. But Pegasus Knights are always useful to have on the battlefield, if only because they can go 7 squares over any type of terrain. Something to remember, though, if you've been playing this and wondering why your Pegasus Knight is always getting hit, even if they're in, like, a mountain or even on the peaks, which give the best defense and avoid bonuses, it's because, you know, Pegasus fly, so they don't get any terrain bonuses from anything, really. But they also have a slightly higher avoid than most of your other characters, so if it's, say, an indoor battle, or a place that's full of empty plains but nothing else, it's a good idea to take Pegasus Knights, and Wyvern Riders, I think, have the same kind of deal with having a higher avoid. It's a good idea to take them because they can take advantage of the fact that there's nothing to hide behind. So yeah, this map is kind of one of my least favorite maps, mainly because it's really, really hard to get around. You can either take the shorter route, but that makes you go through like 10 forests and a bunch of mountains even, so it's really hard for cavalry to get through. Or you can take the much longer plains route, which is probably what I'd suggest to do for your cavalry if they're going up that way. And yeah, this map surprised me how short it was. I mean, it seems to be getting easier as time goes, so that's always nice and helpful. Wow, I think that's gotta be the most unimpressive critical I've ever seen in any of the units. There's that critical. The mage's critical is kind of crappy. He just sort of points up into the air a couple times, and then it does 3 times the damage. All the early units' criticals kind of suck. The later ones are really cool though, and the early ones for the Myrmidon and the Swordmaster and the Mercenary are really cool too. The Myrmidon, he kind of does a backflip and then kills the guy. Like 3 of them appear and he kills them. And for the Mercenary, he throws his sword up in the air and flips it, and does a flip in midair to catch it, and then slams it down on the face. I always found it kind of stupid how like when you get hit by something, you don't die right away from your injuries. I mean, the Mercenary, he slashes his sword from your face to your stomach and you don't die. Or Lyn sort of cuts you in half and you still have enough energy to attack her again. These guys are stronger than I think they are. Okay, so there's one bandit, and even though it's one, I have a really bad luck with hitting people, apparently, for some of the things. So I end up piling on like 6 guys. 1, 2, 5 guys. I hit them a lot. If only I was lucky with criticals, then this would be way easier. His name is Bug. Seriously, why do these bandits have such dumb names? Or even the bosses. There's someone named Yogi. I'm pretty sure there's a guy named, you know, something that starts with a Z. There was Bada, and they have really dumb names. I'm just trying to see who I can train with this. Urk is always a good person to try to train by killing bosses with, because for starters, the bosses always have a really low resistance this early on in the game. They're always bandits. And even though it may not really look it yet, he's going to be a really, really powerful character if you train him enough. So it's a good idea to always, you know, finish off bosses with lower level units, especially if those units are magic users, because they're going to deal a lot of damage to him. So that's sort of the closing of the fight, and, you know, they're not just going to give me one character or two characters for one battle, so I guess Serra and Urk are going to join me for the rest of the game, which is going to be really annoying because of Serra. Zane tries to hit on her, and I think this is the only time that he doesn't get rejected after hitting on someone, so that's odd. Zane talks, but the ownage counter didn't go up. Then they have that little, you know, Serra talks, and that's always bad, so. Then you start to hear more of the evil ploy and Kayleen going on. It's always nice to hear, well, not nice, but I guess useful to hear information like that, to know what's going on, if, you know, it gives you a really good look into the storyline. But then, you think your characters are retarded because they don't know what's going on, even though it's really obvious, but you saw a special cutscene that they didn't, because they don't know they're in the game. I don't think the fourth wall is really broken. Unless you count the tactician, but I mean, he's already in the game, so... Is the fourth wall broken in this? That's actually a pretty good question. But anyways, he's a really violent man, and a really evil man. And on that note, that Gamer Mexican is signing off. See you next time.